We are now moving into the next game of a best of three. It's going to be Stay in School against Vegetable Gaming. All right, so game will start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow. All right, it's quite a silent night for us. And well, Coach, what do you think about the last game? What was the biggest mistake that Stay in School actually did, and what was the good things that Vegetable Gaming pulled off that kept them in the lead during the first match?
I don't think there was an issue in the drafting.
Mm-hmm.
Meepo is actually a very potent hero. So is the Weaver. However, I think they failed in their builds and in the early game. It's really expected that a Lycan pick would dominate the early game. A Razor also would dominate around the mid game. So I think it would be expected that they'll have to be giving up the first few towers. The problem, however, I believe, is that they failed to have a backup plan. They planned for a good early game with a ganking Ogre Magi and a ganking Visage. But because they failed that, it seems that they don't have a follow up. They failed the early game, and then what? The early game, the Invoker went for the Quaswex build instead of an Exhort build, which would have been able to stave off pushes, which would have enabled them to bring themselves to the late game where they actually want to be. The Meepo wants to be in the late game, the Weaver wants to be in the late game, but they didn't have anyone to defend against those good early and mid game pushes, and even towards the end of the mid game and towards the late game pushes. They weren't able to defend, so they put themselves in a really vulnerable position because of that, and they paid the price for it. So now let's see the bans right now. Stay in School go with very wise bans. The Death Prophet against the Death Ball and the Tinker. Very hard to play with. And Team Vegetarian, they ban out the Lycan themselves. They used Lycan a while ago, but because the first pick goes to Stay in School, they'd want to ban that out. And the Faceless Void. And so Stay in School picks up the Shadow Shaman, staple in the current meta, which is the Death Ball. Shadow Shaman is arguably the second best Death Ball hero to Death Prophet because of his ability to drop the wards down. It's a fire and forget skill. You just drop the wards and it's okay if you die. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that term. We use that term a lot in our field. Anyway,
So we see the two counter picks of Radiant. They pick a Razor again. Razor was very effective for Vegetarian Gaming a while ago, and they want to repeat that success. This is very unconventional. They picked Razor as their first picks for 2 games in a row. But hey, if it works for them, I see no problem with that. And they pick Enigma again, another one of their good heroes. But maybe Stay in School has learned their lesson. Maybe they figured out how to counter these heroes early on. Maybe they want an anti-jungler for the Enigma. Maybe they'd want a heavy tri-lane against the Razor. Let's see what they pick. They pick Silencer. Silencer is very effective in shutting down team fights. Very good initiate. You cast the global silence, everyone just runs away, and you can catch them in a very vulnerable position like that. Or if you see an engagement from the Enigma or any other initiate that the Vegetarian Gaming might pick up, you can just cast global silence, and that stops any team fight dead in its tracks, and you can even get a turnaround from that.
yeah, and well, who do you think will? We actually have a lot of other Death Ball potential coming in from the Stay in School, right? As long as you have the Shadow Shaman, you virtually have an unlimited, well, not unlimited, but rather a really wide choices of who you can partner up with the Mass Serpent Wards with, and it's going to be a question of, are you going to be able to get those levels up and running early in the game? Because in the previous game, it seems that the supports for Stay in School actually had this very problem. The key heroes that would have actually been useful and game changing for them in the mid game actually had the levels, like got their level 6 around what, 20-minute mark or 25. It was so late, so that the multicast wasn't there. The even the familiars from the Visage wasn't there. And it came to a point that the ultimates at level 1, the level 6 ultimates, were just useless because the enemy players were like around level 16 already.
Uh, Not level 16. I think they were at around level 11
Oh,
ish.
level 11. All
Level
right.
11 ish. But still, that's already the second level of ultimate ahead of the first level of ultimate that the enemy team just picked up. And they went for around 7 minutes
Mm-hmm.
without those ults up. So that's really big disadvantage. So right
Mm-hmm.
now they ban the Tide Hunter. Stain School bans out the Tide Hunter. Yeah, they learned their lesson. They don't want the Tide Hunter going with the Enigma. And for the Radiant, they ban out Centaur Warrunner. Of course, that's what I was saying. Centaur Warrunner is their counter initiate or their initiate. If they see a team fight, you can cast Global Silence and then immediately cast the Centaur Stampede and catch
Mm-hmm.
out the enemy team while they're trying to retreat or they're trying to disengage from a Silence team fight. Or they
Mm-hmm.
can cast Silence immediately to initiate, followed by the Centaur Stampede and catch them in an awkward position. So that was the power of the Centaur Warrunner. You position your entire team properly, and banning that out, that's a very good choice. Meanwhile, for Stain School, they ban out the Puck. Puck is also a very good combo with the Enigma, keeping a team locked in position. And that little lockdown in a certain confined space is going to be an opening for the Enigma to cast a black hole. However, Radiant, Team Vegetarian pick up Viper. Viper is one of the best laners in game, and I would say, in my personal opinion, Viper is the best laner in the game. I don't think anyone could go head to head with a Viper one on one. A proper Viper should be able to isolate anyone. Very versatile. He can build himself last hitting with a Nether Toxin. He can build himself defensively against spammers with a corrosive skin, or aggressively with a poison attack. Depends on what kind of laner he's facing against. He has a skill for everything. So that's what makes Viper very potent in a 1v1 situation in any lane. So right now we'll have to see stay in school picks. Maybe they'll go for position 1 right now. They'll want core. Not necessarily a position 1, but they want a core. There we go, Amirana. Amirana is
Mm-hmm.
also one of the most versatile heroes in the game. Mirana is usually can be played from a position 2 to 5 hero. And for those who are not familiar, let me just reiterate the positioning. Position 1 means the highest farm priority, so farm priority 1, and position 5 is the least priority farm. So priority 4 or 5 typically roam and typically don't pursue gold from farming creeps in a lane. They might earn gold from tower kills or from assists killing heroes. But those are typically heroes that don't need farm at all to function. And the
Mm-hmm.
Mirana can go either way. Mirana is quite powerful with some farm. She can be a semi carry, or she can go with a naked build. The arrow and the starfall are are quite powerful in their own right,
Yeah.
even without any items from the Mirana. So the team vegetarian ban out right now Pugna. Pugna is very great a pusher. Comboed with the Shadow Shaman, they can take down towers pretty quickly there. And a Clockwork pick from Team Vegetarian. Clockwork is one of the best initiates in the game. Can also set up good black holes by using a hook shot and then immediately followed by the cogs, locking down maybe one or two, luckily three people, and that puts them in a good position to black hole.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
also, actually, I think the ace up their sleeve with the Clockwork is the Battery Assault. The Battery Assault
mm-hmm.
stuns go on continuously even if the Clockwork is stunned. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, even if Clockwork is locked down, uh, if once she gets that Initiate, Power Cogs, and Battery Assault running, sometimes people don't realize the power of Battery Assault. It constantly whittles down HP of those near
Mm-hmm.
Clockwork. So, very, very great pickup for Team Vegetarian. And Stain School picks up a Dark Seer. A Dark Seer is a great counter for a team with many carries, many right clickers. But right now, I don't really see too much of the value of the Dark Seer pick. Maybe they can use Dark Seer to disrupt the Enigma's black hole. Uh, catch them in a bad position. Darkseer is a good laner with the Ion Shell and is a very good team fight hero, being able to affect the enemy's positioning. But his ult, the wall of replica, which creates replicas of the enemy heroes, I don't think it's going to be particularly useful. A replica of Clockwork without the skills is not pretty good. A replica of Enigma is not pretty good either. A replica of the Razor, I don't think it replicates the damage gained by the static link. So I don't think that's particularly useful, and the replicants also don't get the passives such as Unstable Current or the Nether Toxin and Corrosive Skin of the Viper. And the Viper replica also can't cast a poison attack, so I'm not pretty sure about this Darkseer pick, but let's see where this goes. Maybe they just want the good laning from the Ion Shell of the Darkseer. So let's see.
Well, it's going to be difficult though. I mean, if you Iron Shell, who are you gonna put the Iron Shell on? I mean, you have the range scripts, you have the range heroes, right? So, yeah, it's true. It's really hard to figure out how the Darkseer will play in this game, and also, how can you put? It's going to be hard to put the Wall of Replica in a good position if almost all the heroes in the opposing team are range.
Yeah, right now we only see one melee hero in Team Vegetables.
Veggie. Just call them Veggie.
Yeah, in Team Veggie, Clockwork. And Clockwork isn't much of a right-clicking hero. Clockwork can do pretty well without right-clicks as long as he gets his levels up. He only needs pretty much a level 6 actually, and he can start ganking and killing people, earning golden experience that way, so not really much of a laner. Let's see their last pick. The last bans were actually Skyrath Mage, very good a while ago with the Enigma, comboed with a lockdown from the Enigma, dealing massive nuke damage, and the Radiant ban out the Wraith King, perhaps a possible choice for a carry for stay in school.
They actually might need another tanker. I mean, Clockwork, sure, he is actually more of a pick-off rather than a tanker. So right now, if the Clockwork actually hooks somebody who is out of position in the team fight in the first place, there's absolutely no one who can actually fend off the enemy. So the Dire will be coming in after that, and they go for a Vengeful Spirit, which actually quite makes sense though. Yeah, it's I don't know, Coach. What do you think? I mean, do they really can they really just depend on the Clockwork for the tanking, or is this going to be some sort of a meta kind of tanking where it's going to be Razor and the Viper with the mechans? I don't know.
I don't think you really need to tank much right now because the enemies are not really focused on bursting down opponents. The Darkseer doesn't have a burst. The Mirana has limited form of burst with the Starfall. The Shadow Shaman has a bit of damage, but more of single target control with the Hex and the Shackle. Maybe the wards are going to pose a bit of the threat to them. But if they get an initiate on, maybe they can burst down Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman's pretty soft to begin with. But the Vengeful Spirit, I can see the utility of the Vengeful Spirit as a gank. And now we have a Pudge.
Oh, we have a Pudge pick. Interesting. Crowd favorite, yeah. And wow. Is this to save somebody who got cogged?
Yeah, you can save someone who got cogged. You can save people from a black hole. You can save a lot of people with a Pudge. And it's all going to be a matter of positioning. Actually, I was going to comment that you can use Vengeful Spirit to swap an enemy into the black hole. So if
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so if people try to escape the black hole, if the black hole manages to whiff, you can use the Vengeful Spirit to send someone back into the black hole. Now, we're starting the game, and can you bring us to the introductions right now?
Yes, of course. I'll gladly do that. We have Faffy Pudding on the Viper, Jara Stafari on the Razor, S Rebel. Where is he? At the bottom lane. Yes, Rebel will be playing the Enigma, and Sukoyoko Nanami will be playing Clockwork, and Jiropi will play that Vengeful Spirit. While on the Dire team is going to be a mid lane Pudge on being played by Sis.407. He is the one who was actually interviewed before the games. Tonight we have, what's her name? Hans on the Mirana. We have Sway on the Silencer, Jet on the Shadow Shaman, and the offlane Seer will be played by Shin. Okay, so I think they're gonna go for a very standard lane. We have the jungle Enigma here, and at the bottom lane it's going to be Razor supported by the Vengeful Spirit. It's going to be an offlane Clockwork by Sukoyoko Nanami. I'm just gonna call him Nanami.
or
Yeah, okay, I've got
Nani.
Suko. Suko is nice. At the top, at the top is Sway playing the silencer supported by the Miranda. The Shadow Shaman, I don't know where it's going. I think it's just going to plant the wards first before going anywhere else. And we are actually, I'm so happy that the players are so friendly.
Yeah, that's pretty much the entire point of our community. We want to make Dota a happy experience for everyone. We want everyone to feel
Mhm.
included. You know, Dota is not just a game for people who trash talk, for people who want to. Yeah, we want Dota to be a game for everyone. You know.
Yeah, we want to remove that mentality where it's all about pride and ego. Of course, pride is important, but you don't have to discriminate against players, which is the common problem with most Dota players. I mean, the attitude. So we're trying to make something of that. Invirun getting picked up with the Shadow Shaman. This Clockwork is in danger. Do they know that an Invirun has been picked up? No, they have no
But
wards
the Shadow
actually on
Shaman
that area.
killed the Ether Shock.
Oh no, this is dangerous. This is going to be not quite what they might want it to be. Arrow getting thrown down by hands, finds the Clockwork. That's around the 4 seconds. 4 second stun. Auto attacks coming in. They want to throw the auto attacks. Keep going until they have enough that they get it to an HP where the Ether Shock can take him down. But the Ether Shock is not really something you want to skill up on the first level. This is sad.
Yeah, but if the silencer was there, actually, the additional damage by the silencer would have been enough to take down the Clockwork, even without
Mm-hmm.
the shackles. But still, the shackles into the arrow would still have been the optimal setup, and it's a shame that the Shadow Shaman didn't pick that up.
Yeah. Well, I guess they were hoping for a harassment on the Clockwork at the top lane initially, and they forgot that hey, you get an Invirun can actually spawn, so you might wanna hold up on stealing anything until then. So this Mirana is waiting up on the rune. She sees a regeneration rune. I don't know what he's planning to do with that. So I think it's gonna leave it alone and just wait for the proper position. And in the middle lane, it's going to be a very difficult lane for Pudge. I mean, he's now sitting at 0 creep hits, 0 last hits, and it's going to be a lot more difficult as the Viper gets more and more of that nether toxin. Coach, are you there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no,
We have an
the middle
engagement
lane
on mid.
something.
I've been
And the
watching mid.
Vengeful Spirit is actually here and it throws the
Whoa!
magic missile and Pudge actually dies. He engaged on top of that Viper who had the nether toxin up. And he was actually getting punished for that. I mean, if you're Pudge and you're up Viper, the nether toxin will just do so much damage and the rot is actually going to help that nether toxin proc more and more after each attack, after each rot damage, right? Because nether toxin just gives more damage the lower the HP of the enemy is.
Yeah, so right now we're
And
seeing the dominance of the Viper. That's what I was saying. Viper is my favorite laner. I don't. Yeah, playing personally, I don't think I lose too much by myself as a Viper. You'll have to gank
mm,
me if I'm playing Viper. If you want me to lose.
yeah, and well, this is definitely a this lane is for Faffy Pudding to lose. I mean, he has the advantage. He can actually take control in this mid lane completely, and he's actually has a good control of the current situation at around 4 minutes, and he already has what net worth. He is now sitting at 1,900, almost 2,000 in gold. That's ahead, 500 gold away from the highest of the Dire team, and that is quite impressive.
Yeah, but still, the next two is Silencer and Darkseer in terms of net worth. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
not bad. But
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
if you take a look at the bottom lane, Razor's not doing too bad either. A solo Razor in the lane against the solo Darkseer. But this is, yeah, as you mentioned, yeah, the good point. The Razor is a ranged hero, so he's pretty much not affected by the Ion Shell. The Ion Shell is left mostly for the creeps to help the Darkseer farm, but it's not doing much in terms of harassment against the Razor.
Mm-hmm. And well, at the same time though, Razor shouldn't be too what's the right word? Shouldn't be too obnoxious in harassing this and just pushing forward the lanes because even if Darkseer only can affect the creeps right now with this Iron Shell, he could always he has the option to surge one of the creeps who is chasing down a Razor who has the aggro. Although that's a very one in I don't know, that's a very hard situation to put yourself in. I mean, to get that kind of advantage. It's normally what some Seer players do is that they put the iron shells on the creeps, and then there would always be a time where the creeps would have no one to go against, and then when they see the hero gets the aggro, and what they do is that they search that creep. But even then, it's not going to be that worth it. So this is actually another lane that is for Radiant to lose. They have the complete dominance over the lane right now, over two lanes rather.
Yeah, so let's see what the gold and EXP graphs tell us. Right now, gold Radiant is ahead by around 2,500, and in EXP they're also ahead by around 2,000, a little bit over 2,000, and we might see a gank here coming towards the Viper. No, the Miranda
Yeah, I
backs
know.
off.
Right, yeah, I think she was just trying to find an arrow, but she kind of felt that maybe there's a war there.
You know,
So,
let me point out something. This is again the mistake, the big mistake that Stay in School made a while ago, and what they're making right now. Let's look at
which one?
the hero levels. The bottom two hero levels are Mirana and Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman has been pretty ineffective in trying to get pickoffs. Yeah, he's been making space for the silencer, but going against the offlane clockwork, the clockwork is already level 5, close to a level 6, around 2 creep waves. They weren't able to prevent him from getting levels, and the Shadow Shaman is right there at the bottom with level 3, and the Mirana. The Mirana is level 2. As I said a while ago, Mirana is a good hero even without items, but if you choose to have a Mirana without items, you're going to have to compensate with that with levels. Yeah, you're gonna have to compensate for that with levels, and the level 2 Mirana is not going to do anything. You have no burst, you have no mobility, his leap is short, the arrow is gonna deal not too much damage, and this is kind of the error. This is basically the error of Stay in School. They have gankers who are not finding ganks, they're just losing EXP because they're not getting anything from those ganks. Right now we
Yeah,
have an
hang
attempt
on,
at
something
mid.
at the middle. Something's happening at the middle lane. Viper Sight getting thrown in here at Fudge. Getting shackled actually, and now the arrow misses. But however, they would actually find a kill here. And a little bit of miscommunication there because the arrow was thrown while after the Fudge hooked in somebody. Hooked in the Viper. But yeah, even then they actually got a kill. So I think that's a big thing in the middle lane. It's gonna give Fudge like a good 20 seconds of space. So more or less 2 creep waves for him to farm, and yeah, at the very least, it's gonna give him some breathing room.
Yeah, especially against the Viper, since their Viper is mid and actually is the highest level right now in the game at level 8. But still, in exchange, the Radiant managed to take off the tier 1 offlane again for the
Yeah, and
Dire.
this is like is this really a thing? Is it really like the best advantage? You're going to take the first tier 1 tower that is against your safe lane. It's really an advantage. I mean, is that really part of a good strategy?
Yeah,
Because that's what.
the
Yeah, yeah.
offlane tier 1 tower for both sides is actually the most vulnerable tower because um why is it? Let me think for a while why it's the most vulnerable tower, but
Yeah,
yeah,
okay. While you think about that engagement coming into the bottom lane, the Shadow Shaman getting surged by Seer to help him escape. Pudge is coming in with a haste rune. He might actually find a hook here. Viper dangerously too close to the tower, but he'll manage to walk away from that. Pudge is now trying to find a hook there. He's going to throw one, misses the Vengeful Spirit, and now they know where the Pudge location is. And that's actually one of the biggest disadvantages of Pudge. The moment that you miss a hook, you just give away your position, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be hard to find another one. And the Mirana arrow actually finds a 4-second cooldown here on the Razor. Hook coming in from
And
the
the
Pudge. Global
silence.
silence support coming from Silencer. Very wonderful play right there. They're going to lock everybody down. Black Hole coming in, catches 2 heroes. Shackles for the Shadow Shaman. Not going to be able to find a kill on the Razor. And Viper coming in with a corrosive, with a poison attack. finds two heroes. Fabi Pudding kills both Shadow Shaman and Darkseer. It's a 3-4 no, it's a 3-4 nil exchange in favor of the Radiant team, and this might be a lost tower to them. And this is what exactly Coach was saying earlier. This is what he was pertaining to. The supports don't have enough levels to be significant in the game, to be significant in team fights.
Yeah, they actually had a good initiate in the Global Silence. That's what I said. The Global Silence is a very good initiation skill. They were perfectly helpless for around 5 seconds, 4 seconds to be exact. Let me check. Yeah, it was a 4-second silence, but still, the 4-second silence gave them a lot of opportunity to lay whatever skills they had pretty much freely. But the Shadow Shaman is still level 5, still short of that level 6, and the Mirana is level 3. Imagine the difference if they had a bigger level of Arrow or Starstorm in the Mirana, and if the Shadow Shaman had those wards. If he had those wards, it would have been a lot more damaging for vegetable gaming. It would have been a different story.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just so bad that Stay in School keeps forgetting the importance of levels. I mean, sure, you can actually forgo the levels, given that you actually find the kills during the early game. But if you don't, those experience that you lost roaming around is just something that you would have to pay for later in the game. And at the top lane, we see Silencer harassing the Clockwork. And, well, TP coming in from Fabi Pudding. He has enough speed there. He has a mechanism up. He's now actually 300 gold away from Power Treads, but Silencer backs away. He knows he can fight this. Punch is now moving towards the top lane. This guy is going to go and support the Silencer, but once again, they don't. If you can see, so many lanes, so many creep waves getting wasted. If you look at if you notice, the lanes. Oh, hang on! Before that, Silence coming in from the Silencer there, but he is going to die anyway. Viper and the Clockwork just throwing so much damage. Hook coming into the Pudge, getting the Clockwork revenge kill. Arrow missing the hit there, and Dismember from the Pudge getting on top of Fat Pudding. But no, the armor from the mechanism not going to prevent damage coming in from the auto attacks on the Mirana. Now 3 heroes are now converging to the top lane, while Enigma and the Vengeful Spirit takes the middle tier 1 tower. Shackles coming in from the Shadow Shaman, and now they're trying to kill Fafe Pudding here. There was an arrow getting thrown by Mirana. Oh, your danger is too close to the Viper, and he actually dies to that, and it's not worth it. He actually gave a kill to the hero that's getting ganked before he died. And now it's officially like what, 3-4-2 here, 3-4-2 exchange all in all during that extended team fight. And I think Radiant was so much so much ahead during that last team fight because they took the tier 1 mill tower. Coach?
They took the tier 1 middle tower? I didn't even know.
Yeah, they did. They did.
It was Enigma
and Vengeful Spirit.
Now that's really a bad exchange. If you're already losing in terms of exchange in heroes, and you also lose a tower in the process, you're really on the back foot if those kinds of exchanges are happening. But let's not count anyone out right now. They still have a lot of comeback potential. The Mirana right now, Moonlight Shadow may be looking for a gank.
Yeah, I think they want to go for the Razor here, but the Razor actually.
But there was a ward here. Yeah, that was a good point.
Yeah,
I think they saw. Yeah. I think they saw the Moonlight Shadow coming out. So the Razor is a bit defensive right now.
And oh no, I don't know if you noticed it, but the towers they're not even down to 3/4 of their HP. Look at all the tier 1 towers for Radiant.
Yeah,
they're almost
solid.
full. Yeah, and this is devastating actually when you think about how much potential is being lost. And now it seems that the Eamon team fight coming in at the top lane. They know that the Radiant team wants the top lane, even though Razor is about lane. So I think they're gonna go for the exchange. They are now converging to the middle lane. They know that right now they can't win at the end of team fights. So hey, why go against them if we can actually go for an exchange? But the TP coming in from the Viper here, Arrow missing the TP, 4 heroes, and the Master Pit was getting thrown down, and Papa Pudding is alone against these heroes. Last word getting thrown down by the silencer. Now 5 heroes in the middle lane. Fafi Pudding is against them alone. They are now TPing in after taking the top tier 1 tower of the Dire. And it seems the tower is just taking so much. They're taking so much time taking this tower. I think by now the Radiant team will be in position for this. Clockwork throwing in his ultimate. Finds nobody. Black Hole coming in too. Finding 2 heroes. BKB getting pop up. There's nothing that they can do here. Getting thrown down. Midnight Pulse damaging. Just giving additional damage there, but the surge from the Seer actually allows him to escape, and it's a 1 hero exchange for a 1 tower, and Clockwork is now trying to fight. The Nami is trying to, Suko rather, is trying to fight Hans, but Razor finds this Mirana. Mirana picks up the haste. He will now be able to escape with the rocket flare. Oh, what a wonderful rocket flare there from Clockwork. And it's a 2 exchange for a single tower with nobody on the Radiant side dying, and now they want blood. They want to get another tower exchange for the one that they just lost, and they're now pushing the middle lane with those Eidolons and the command aura and that Viper. Wow, that was a beautiful, beautiful rocket flare. They knew that the Mirana had the leap on cooldown, and there was no way for her to go but towards the bottom lane, so they just threw a rocket flare there, knowing that Mirana wouldn't risk another auto attack from the Razor. Moonlight Shadow coming in. Another team fight is gonna go down right now. Pudge is still positioning himself for a hook. Will he find anything? Everybody is out of that hook range. He is now throwing one. He knows that Fafi Pudding went to the jungle, but Fafi Pudding knows that a hook might be thrown, so he actually evades it. Well played there, and now another creep wave coming in from the Radiant team. Moonlight Shadow is now out. Mass Serpent Wards on cooldown. Global Silence is as well. Question is, will they engage? Though the tower, they're gonna give away the tower. They do not have the fortification, and they will now disengage. Radiant team now moving towards the top lane. They want to keep getting these towers, and they're actually in position to get those.
I think they're gonna go for this. Are they? They have the capability to do so. And they might. Here come the Eidolons.
And now Pudge is now again putting ward. There was a ward here trying to give them a position, giving them a vision rather of the position of any, but everybody's just right out of range, and now they see the Clockwork here. The Mirana is going to try to throw an arrow, but no, the hook shot coming in on this Clockwork. The Global Silence might not be casted. Hook coming in for the Pudge. Nice save there, but now I think they're gonna lose the tower, and yes, indeed they do lose it. That's 2 towers within a span of 3 minutes, and
that's
well,
all tier 2s.
It's all tier 2s. It's now down to the tier 3s, and it's just 17 minutes in the game. This is so like first game, coach.
A repeat of the first game. It seems that Team Stay in School didn't learn their lesson. That's very unfortunate. They did well banning 2 of the powerful heroes of Team Vegetable a while ago. Vegetable Gaming, in the form of the Skywrath Mage and the Tidehunter, yes, if I recall correctly, the Tidehunter and the Skywrath Mage. But still, they didn't actually shut out the playstyle of Team Vegetable Gaming. They still let the Razor pass through, a very aggressive Razor, and the Enigma. These guys are very aggressive in terms of their initiation. They want to get in, they want to get a black hole, and they want to fight. And maybe they got a good defensive pick in the form of Silencer, but still they lost. They still don't have crowd control abilities. The Shadow Shaman is good for pushing, but they kind of didn't pick anything after that. Shadow Shaman alone, you need to support Shadow Shaman with other heroes that can back up the Death Ball push.
Yeah, indeed. And that was during the drafting phase. It was actually a pick that I was waiting for the Dire team to make. Yeah, you're going to pick Shadow Shaman, but do you know that he's quite useless on his own? I mean, even if you drop the Serpent Wards and you have nobody to follow up on that, the enemy team will just pick those wards one by one. And it was actually a good pick for the Radiant team to go for ranged heroes. They can actually pick the wards from a safe location without having to suffer from all the wards attacking them simultaneously. So just, wow. This is wonderful drafting and wonderful execution from the Vegetable Gaming.
Yeah, so again, I'd like to point out what went wrong for Team Stay in School. They're at right now, if you check the hero level, still at the bottom is Shadow Shaman and Mirana. They're still at level 7 while everyone in Vegetable Gaming is at least level 8. 3 of them are
They're
level
no,
11.
they're now moving at the top bottom lane. A force staff coming in from somebody, allowing them to get into position to get the shackles. An arrow from the Mirana actually hits and locks him down. Razor goes down with that fast pickup.
A great pickoff for Team Stay in
Yep.
School. That's
Sorry.
going to be a big help for them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again on the picks, the Shadow Shaman took quite a while to get his level 6. They made him into a hybrid of a ganking Shadow Shaman and a neutral pulling Shadow Shaman. That's not really effective. You want Shadow Shaman to get his level 6 as soon as possible. You keep him in lane. You keep him protected. And if he gets at level 6, you start dropping him. You start dropping those Serpent Wards on towers. But right now, they've only taken one tier 1 tower. One tower in the game. And that's the tier 1 mid. Right now,
Oh, hang on.
counter, yeah.
Yeah, at the Radiant jungle, Mirana is going to find this Clockwork. It finds the arrow hit and the hook coming in from Clutch. They're gonna go for another pickoff, and this Clockwork is going to die. These pickoffs, if they continue like for the next 5 minutes, this might actually be the tide turner.
Yeah, let's take a look at the gold and EXP graph. The gold is actually 14,000, an unbelievable 14,000 gold in favor of Vegetable Gaming, but still not insurmountable. And in EXP, only below 7,000 EXP, so they might be able to catch up there. They need more EXP on the Shadow Shaman. The levels will help him a lot, especially when he gets that level 11 Serpent Ward. It's going to help a lot in pushing. It's going to make pushing a lot easier. So let's see what's going to happen. They're going to take an attempt at the tier 1 bot.
Yeah, and now it's a 5-man push coming in for the Dire team. Clockwork just revived, and he'll definitely TP in to help. He has the Aghanim Scepter, by the way. Mass Serpent Wards getting thrown down. These wards are still on level 1, so not the amount of damage that they could actually give at this point in the game. I heard an arrow getting thrown. Mirana finds the hit of the Clockwork, but no. They will now safely disengage. They actually use the Moonlight Shadow for that escape, so they really don't want the team fight to kick in right now. They want either the Mirana or the Silencer to farm. I think it's going to be Silencer because the Mirana seems to be going for the mech.
Yeah, right now the Silencer is also ahead in levels. He's level 11. One of the highest in Dire right now. Let's check the EXP per minute. Yeah, he's the top in Dire in terms of EXP per minute. Sitting just below Viper and Razor. But still a pretty respectable position for Silencer in terms of EXP. In terms of gold and net worth, however, yeah, the top 4 actually go towards the Radiant. Maybe that's just because they took a lot of the towers early on, and now they're gonna take a rush. This is also going to increase their lead in terms of gold and EXP, but the Hope,
Mirana actually helps them out by stunning Roshan, and wow, it's a big thank you from Vegetable Gaming to Stay in School, because the Mirana arrow stunned Roche for some time, enough for them to pick up the Aegis of the Immortal. That was actually hilarious. I mean, there's always this, you have these moments where you want to check Roshan with the arrow, and then you accidentally throw the arrow at Roshan while the enemy team is in the middle of killing him. So in the end, you actually help them rather.
Yeah, because you expect Roshan to be at this position where I'm pointing right now, but Roshan actually moved here. Roshan actually moved towards this position because he was being engaged by the Radiant, and the Mirana threw the arrow here, which is where you want to place your arrow if you're trying to scout out for Roche. But because the way Roshan was positioned from getting pulled by the Radiant, it actually hit Roshan. Yeah.
Oh, hang on. The Mirana arrow actually finds a stun on this Viper. Will they go for it? No, the hook from the punch actually misses, getting blocked by their own creeps. And now the Eye of the Storm actually is actually pumped up by that Aghanim Scepter, and they will definitely take this tier 3 tower. Mass Serpent towards defensive, getting thrown down. Viper is picked off by the punch at the hook, at the edge of that hook, and this Viper will go down to the Mass Serpent Wars. Slark's here, wonderful wall of replica there in the vacuum, but now the Black Hole actually catches 3 heroes, and now they actually die. 3-4-0 exchange in favor of the Dire team. wonderful, wonderful defense there. They actually executed it perfectly, and now they're continuing to chase. They're going in pursuit of this Razor. Mirana Arrow, is he going to find anything? No, he's going to miss. And wow, at the very least, it was a very, very good defense.
Well played, actually. They baited out the Enigma's black hole and also the BKB.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty considerable cooldown, especially the BKB. That was a 9-second BKB right there. So
Mm-hmm.
that actually helps in reducing the Enigma BKB duration. Maybe we can see a comeback right here if they manage to keep holding their position. Right now, the experience graph is dipping down. It's at around 5,000 from 7,000 a while ago. And the gold still at 14,000, but they prevented it from going any higher, even if they got the Roche. So those 3 kills and the proof that they are still able to defend the tier 3 tower, maybe that's what they need. Maybe they just need a little morale boost, and maybe they can get things going from that little bit of momentum right there. Oh, I'd like to pick up. I'd like to point out something that happened on the top lane. If you remember, the team fight started out with the Mirana hitting an arrow on the Viper. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
a thing I'd like to point out is that the Mirana arrow goes through your own creeps, while the Pudge hook does not. So,
Yeah.
Even if the Mirana arrow goes through, sometimes that doesn't mean that it's going to be at an angle where the Pudge hook can come through, because your own creeps will be blocking Pudge hook. Which is what
Yep.
happened. The Pudge just happened to hook an allied creep in front of the
Yeah.
Viper.
Yes, and well, at the very least, they were able to right after the hook cooldown, they were able to pick off the Viper at the edge of that hook. So it actually was the game changer during the team fight, during the last defense. And Moonlight Shadow coming in from the Mirana, I don't know if this is to escape or to just try to defend, but they have the observer ward there. There was an observer ward, and they know that the entire team is Moonlight Shadowed. Hook coming in from Push, they're gonna find the Viper, but the Force Staff's out, and the Mass Serpent was getting wasted. Mirana throws an arrow at nothing. And, well, there goes the Mass Serpent wards. Now, the Radiant team knows that they can push without having to deal with those wards.
This is a really bad spot for team stay in school.
Mm-hmm. And Suko now going to push, and Viper gets... This Viper keeps getting either hooked or arrowed, and he actually gets arrowed. Hook shot coming in for the Clockwork, locks into Mirana. Mirana goes for a lip hook from Push coming in. Dismember now on top of that Clockwork, but the battery assault actually disables him. That pulse from the Enigma going to try to help this team out, but no one from the Dire team is on top of that Midnight Pulse. Arrow coming from Mirana finds out nothing. Aegis from the Razor getting used up. Black Hole coming in from the S-Rebel. It actually catches 3 heroes. 1 hero goes down, 2nd hero goes down, and the Viper poison attack latches on the Silencer. It's going to fall. The Plasma Field going to help with that damage killing spree, but the Silencer goes down, and the middle racks will definitely fall to the Radiant during this team fight. Now, Hook coming in from the Dismember, and the Razor actually falls down. They actually find a kill on a hero before anything finishes. Arrow on top of Puffy Pudding once again, but the poison attack just constantly dropping hands HP. Hook coming in from the flash, and the Force Staff not gonna find anybody, but the racks did go down. That extended team fight did cost Stay in School the middle racks, but not before they were able to take at least the Aegis and finally a kill on that Razor.
Yeah, that was really
Woo!
bad. It would have been a better team fight. It would have been a different story again if the wards were there. That's really a big difference. If you notice, they were actually winning the team fight around when the Darkseer was able to cast the Wall of Replica, comboed with the Vacuum. They were actually at an advantage at that point. However, they were unable to do a follow-up. The wards would have been a massive follow-up because they managed to lock the team down in that position, in that bad position that they were in. They were in too deep. But because the wards weren't there, they're lacking in damage. They were lacking in damage. And because they weren't able to find another kill or two right off the bat, they got a turnaround.
Yeah. And, well, now we see that they're trying to, I don't know, Coach, it seems that they're trying to they're trying to figure out where they can farm, actually, where they can actually get that extra gold, that extra experience. And given that they're pushed so much in all lanes, they're finding it hard to defend anything at all right now. Force staff to hook coming in from Patch finds Jiropi there with a dismember, and the Ion Shell from Darkseer gonna help with that DPS, and now Jiropi falls. Pickups from Stay in School actually are working some wonders for them, but they're not doing it in a pace that would actually help them curve the lead from the Radiant team.
Right now we're looking at almost a 20,000 gold advantage for the Radiant for Vegetable Gaming, and around 7,000 EXP earned. The EXP, it's closing up a bit right now. Yeah, the top are still Viper and Razor, but next up are three from Stay in School, the Pudge, and the Silencer, and the Darkseer, still at a respectable rate of EXP gain per minute. However, yeah, you do have that difference in terms of net worth. The top three are still in Vegetable Gaming. The Viper has a commanding 13,700 gold, while the highest in the Team Stay in School is Silencer with 9,000. 9,000 should be enough to get the Silencer's items going. Maybe he has an Aganims already? No, he's going for the BKB right now. Maybe he realizes he needs to withhold a lot of that damage coming in, but I don't think a BKB is really needed, because if he gets a black hole, BKB or not, he's going in and he might just go down. So maybe
Yeah,
it would have
and
been better if he, instead of a BKB, he went for an Aganims. Pretty much close
yeah.
in price. An Aganims doesn't really cost too much, but the Aganims with in Silencer gives a pretty huge difference. An additional second in silence, and paired with damage coming from Curse of the Silent, that's a good advantage right there. That's going to be 300 damage to every hero in the team, regardless of their position, and an additional second of silence. That would have been a lot more useful than a BKB, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention that the static link actually goes through BKB, so that Silencer, the only carry from the Dire team, can actually get this damage stolen. But now, at the bottom lane, we see Razor throwing the BKB. He actually got dismembered. Hook shot coming in from the Clockwork. He finds the Silencer there. Silencer, are you going to throw your Global Silence? No, he isn't. He is still waiting for that Darkseer getting picked off. Hook shot coming in from from the Pudge, but he hooks somebody else. I think it's a Viper. It's a clone. It's a replica. And now, just a counter initiate coming in from the Radiant. Viper finds a kill on Mirana. Finds another kill on Silencer. Viper strike on top of that Pudge. Pudge is going to go down. Jiropi still has a swap up. He can actually go for the kill on the Shadow Shaman. Will they be able to do it? No, Shadow Shaman goes for the defensive Mass Serpent towards hookshot from the Aganims of this Clockwork hook. Another hook from the Pudge going for that Clockwork. He actually tries to save the Shadow Shaman, but no, the Viper is just within range and finds the kill, finishes the job for the Clockwork. Another hook coming in from Pudge. He's just trying to harass everybody in. Mechanism up, casted by the Viper, and this tower is gonna go down. Midnight Pulse just to fend the way, just to whittle out the HP of the creep spawning. Arrow coming in from Mirana finds the arrow on top of Zuko. Hook coming in from Pudge is he actually finds the Viper, who has the BKB, and Jiropi, by the way, just trying to follow up with the Pipe of Insight. And Violet Pudding finds another kill. Hook shot again from Zuko. He's now getting harassed by the Silencer, but the tier 3 tower is gonna go down. Arrow coming in from Mirana, gonna find the Enigma, but not gonna be enough. They need to follow up on that arrow, and now this Shadow Shaman going for the Ether Shock. Will he be able to shackle anybody else? No. Another Viper strike coming in from the Agonims of this Viper. A lot of things happening because of lowered cooldown of the Agonims heroes, and wow, I think the Radiant team finally decides to disengage. Hey, we have the melee racks, so might as well leave this alone, and we can now move to the top lane. And Roche is up, so they might actually go for that now.
The Viper is getting pretty close to his heart, just around 1k gold more. You know, Viper is pretty hard to deal with actually. If you notice at the start of the earlier engagement around here at the bottom lane, they managed to get a hook onto the Viper and the Dismember. But even with the Dismember on the Viper, they still couldn't kill him because he's so incredibly tanky. He has that bonus magic resistance from the corrosive skin, and he has high enough armor on his own right because of the Mechanism and the Ring of Aquila, giving him a lot of bonus armor. Not to mention that he's also an agility hero, which gives him bonus armor. And this Heart of the Rask is just going to make him unstoppable. They're taking down their Roshan right now, and I don't know what they're gonna do against this.
Yes, and Mirana should be careful throwing that arrow. She doesn't want to put the Radiant team in a position where the arrow actually helps them once more. Getting arrow actually finding no one there. Ring of Aquila dropped by the Viper. He doesn't care anymore. He has the Aegis anyway, and now they are now. I think they're going to move to the top lane. Black Hole will be up in 20 minutes. 20 minutes, sorry, 20 seconds, and everyone else on Haganims like Clockwork and the Viper doesn't really have to worry about that. Hook coming in from Quad, they find Rastafari there. Master Prince was getting thrown by the Shadow Shaman. Roll of Replica up on Seer, but he's gonna fall down to the Eye of the Storm. And now Shackle's coming in from the Shadow Shaman, going to shackle that Clockwork. But now the Black Hole actually finds two heroes there. One was Shadow Shaman, the other is Silencer. Somebody's getting swapped. Now Vengeful Seer actually, I think he swapped the Pudge, but now 3 heroes are down for Staying School. This might be a GG, coach, because there's nobody who can defend this. Not Mirana, not Pudge, definitely. And even if Pudge manages to hook somebody here with a Dismember, he doesn't have enough damage to take anybody here down. Even
Yeah.
Razor is actually sitting at around 700 damage. Jerope getting hooked right there, but Magic Missile reply from Jerope coming in, and the Blink from S-Rebel can actually help him out with the auto attacks. He doesn't have enough mana for the Malefice, and now all towers and all barracks are down, with the exception of the Tier 4 towers, of course, and now it's Mega Creeps for the Radiant team. We are now just waiting for the GG call from Stay in School. I mean, there's no way that they will be definitely coming back from this. They don't have the levels, they don't have the gold, and most definitely they don't have the damage to wipe everybody out. And now, just now, Hans the Mirana is going to pick up Moonlight Shadow getting thrown, but she will die to the creeps. And while everything was happening, Razor picks up the Dark Seer, and they just lost whatever hope of defending they had. Eye of the Storm just winning the HP of Shadow Shaman. It's now going to be a Fountain farm for the Radiant team. Rastafari getting into deep is going to die. No, he lives actually. Happy Pudding getting hooked, and he just getting used up, and now it's GG. And the winners of the match would be, of course, the team from the LSU, also known as Veggies, also known as Vegetable Gaming. All right, guys, we'll now be moving on to the awarding ceremony. And while we do that, coach, please keep them busy with some tracks while I coordinate with the players. Thank you so much.
All right.